Are the Sox finally getting into the swing of things here? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Listen, I'm sorry I wasn't able to make a video for you guys yesterday. I just needed some time away. We went to the Sox game. It was great. We're back to a regular scheduled program is basically what I'm saying here. And we got a lot of positives to talk about in this one because the Red Sox just took a series from the Chicago White Sox, which sounds like an obvious thing to say, but proved to be a little bit tricky the first time around. They took 3 out of 4 games from the White Sox, which officially puts them at 13-11 on the season. That is good for second place in the division, just a game and a half back of the first place New York Yankees. It's also their second series win in a row. And to me, this felt like what a good team does. So what we're going to do is we are going to go over all the key takeaways from this series. We're going to talk about what went right, what went wrong, and how it could impact 2025. And I think the best place to start, in my opinion, is with the Red Sox rotation, because my big takeaway with the Red Sox rotation is that we finally saw consistency from them. Every single starter in this series gave you a quality start, which was fantastic considering who you threw out in this series, and every single one of them you can point to as really being highlights of this series. Hunter Dobbins in his second start in Major League Baseball looked absolutely incredible, right? 6 innings, 1 earned run. He struck out a bunch of guys. He looked like a legitimate big league arm. Garrett Crochet continued to do Garrett Crochet things. He's at a 1.13 ERA to start the season. That is absolutely ridiculous. And what's even crazier is that this dude gets out of games like this, goes to the press conference and goes, yeah, I could probably do better, and I think I need to do better. Buddy, I don't know how much better you could possibly get, but more importantly, I think you got really good starts from guys you needed to get really good starts from. Tanner Houck had one of the worst starts in Red Sox history, maybe the worst start in Red Sox history before this. He went out there and gave you a quality start, which was absolutely fantastic. I get it, it's a White Sox, but you need to build that confidence back up. Walker Buehler, similar thing, right? He's been kind of teetering on having a rough season so far, but came out there and gave you a really good start, right? He was the longest of the day. This is what I've been wanting to see from Buehler. He's looked solid in his last couple of starts, but that length hasn't been there. He was able to give you length yesterday, really preserve your bullpen. It looked really good. Overall, this rotation gave you 25 innings in 4 games, allowed 4 earned runs for a combined 1.44 ERA. That is what good rotation should look like, especially against teams like the Chicago White Sox. This rotation finding a groove and getting itself to a point where, hey, you can rely on these guys day in and day out is going to be extremely vital for the Boston Red Sox, and I'm hoping this is the first signs of that. I do want to do a little bit of a flip take here and go towards the negative real quick before we get back into positives from this series, because it's just about the pitching in general. I'm a little bit concerned about the middle of this bullpen right now. It's not so much the guys Whitlock, Slayton, Chapman in the back end. Those guys have been absolutely incredible and continue to be absolutely incredible in this series. They're literally like ice to a game, right? Put it on ice, it's over, it's dead, it's gone. When these guys come into games, it's more so that middle 6th, 7th, 5th inning type pitchers that the Red Sox are throwing out there right now. I'm talking guys like Zach Kelly, Josh Winkowski, Justin Wilson, Greg Weissert, and Brandon Bernardino. They all just kind of scare me a little bit right now, and that's not really fair for a lot of these guys. I think guys like Wilson, Bernie, Weissert, even Wink to some degree here, statistically look pretty good throughout the 2025 season so far. It's just you see them come into games, it's like, can we get it to Chapman without giving up the lead, right? Is something going to go wrong while these guys are on the mound? I think mostly right now it's Zach Kelly who's the face of that. Greg Weissert kind of got really unlucky in this series. I don't really blame him for giving up those runs. In fact, had the Red Sox just simply turned that double play that they needed to, Greg Weissert never would have given up that home run. But that's kind of the stuff that keeps happening to the middle relief options in this bullpen, right? It's either bad defense behind them or they just simply can't get the job done recently. It's really starting to scare me a little bit. I don't know what the true solution to this is, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's a full shakeup of the bullpen. You just added back Liam Hendriks. He did not exactly look fantastic in his first time out here. So you sit there and you say, okay, is there another arm in AAA that needs to come up? You're looking in the AAA bullpen, there's no one that like really stands out. I think Nick Birdie's at the top of that list. But outside of that, it's not like there's anyone down there that needs to be on this major league roster right now. Is it just simply guys need to figure it out in the bullpen? I'm kind of leaning towards that solution a little bit. Maybe you could swap out Kelly for somebody until he gets right. But outside of that, I think it's just sort of guys need to be better, right? Execution needs to be better in these middle innings. I think defensively behind them, I think on the mound itself, you just need to make a better combination of those two things to get yourself right. Okay, now we can get back to the positives here, and obviously the other positive in this series I think came from the offensive side of the baseball, and I get it, right? Oh boy, they were good offensively against the White Sox. Where's the trophy? But also, this team was terrible offensively against the Chicago White Sox the first go around, so I'm going to applaud them being good offensively against the White Sox the second time around. It's just simply how this works, right? For the second time this season, they scored at least 4 games in every game this series. They, as a team, hit 7 home runs, 8 doubles, and 22 RBIs. I think one of the big things that stands out for me in this series was that home run power. The Red Sox have been lacking that a bit recently. You saw that again a little bit in the Tampa Bay series, but it really came back to play in this White Sox series. It was a big missing part of the Red Sox offense, a really big reason why the Red Sox could not put themselves together a good series, right? Between the Blue Jays and the White Sox earlier this month, those two series combined, you had no home runs, right? You barely scrape out a couple in the Rays series, so it's nice to see those power bats becoming power bats again. That was a really good sign. One other really good sign for me in this series was that they struck out 28 times total over the course of 4 games. That is an average of 7 strikeouts a game, and that's still a pretty decent amount of strikeouts. I get it, but that is a huge difference from 1, the first time around against the White Sox, but 2, in general this season. They've been averaging about 10 strikeouts every single game. So even dropping the strikeout rate on average by 3 strikeouts a game, you see exactly how much more consistent this offense can be and how much more potent this offense can be. It's like the number one rule in Major League Baseball. You put the ball in play and good things happen. And this is exactly what we saw in this series. It wasn't so much the home runs that beat the White Sox. It was hitting with runners in scoring position. It was putting the ball in play, letting them make the mistakes as opposed to you. And you end up coming away with 4 runs a game. And I think that's exactly what the Red Sox need to do if they want to keep continuing to have this sort of success at the plate. I don't know really if 4 games, it's really tough to pick out guys who stood out offensively because guys had good games in one game and then they struggled in others. But there's one name I did want to point out in terms of individual highlights here, and it has to be Trevor Story. This dude had an absolutely ridiculous series. He had 7 RBIs. He had 2 home runs. He's currently hitting .337 with an .894 OPS. He's kind of carrying the front end of this lineup right now. Just a really great stuff coming out of Trevor Story's bat. This is flat out all-star level production from Trevor Story. I don't know that this offense is going to continue throughout the season. In fact, I would put money that average probably doesn't stay above 300, especially not 337 throughout the entire year. But this is what we talked about this entire offseason, right? We talked about Trevor Story sort of being this secret weapon, this guy that, if he's right, could totally change the outlook of the Red Sox season. And we're seeing exactly why over these last couple of series, right? Even dating back to the first White Sox series, he was absolutely killing it. He's on an incredible streak right now. And this is what we get, right? A guy who impacts the game at every single facet imaginable. Steals bases, hits home runs, hits with runners in scoring position. Fielding, we could talk about in a second, but still looks pretty positive fielding-wise. This is what you wanted from Trevor Story when we talk about what this guy can bring to a Red Sox rotation. And you put him in the 4 hole right behind Alex Bregman, who's also been pretty good this season. And you're talking about a really lethal 3-4, which has been critical considering the fact that Jarren Duran and to a lesser degree Rafael Devers have been off to a really slow start to begin this season. I say Rafi to a lesser degree because Rafi, despite the low batting average, is still hitting home runs and doubles. He's also taking walks. He's just not making a ton of contact overall. So you sit there with all of that and you say, Okay, with those two struggling, someone needs to pick up the slack, and right now that is Trevor Story. It has been a ton of fun to watch. I think overall, a lot of positives to take out of this series for the Red Sox offensively. The last sort of negative thing I wanted to bring up here, and the one, in my opinion, true commonality between the two White Sox series so far this year has been sloppy play defensively. The Red Sox can hit better, they can pitch better, but they're still making these defensive miscues. And again, you go back to the one loss in this series, and a big reason why a lot of people are still upset about this series, despite the fact that they won 3 out of 4 games here, is because of a fielding error. Had you not made that error and completed that play cleanly, you're talking about a true sweep of the Chicago White Sox, putting yourselves, 4 games over 500, probably tied for first place in this division. It's the little things right now. It's the little things that are separating the Red Sox and the Yankees when it comes to who can lead this division, and right now the Yankees are beating them out. The Red Sox need to be better defensively, and right now we're not really seeing any improvements on that front. Every other facet of their game in this series was better, was significantly better. For the last 2 series, it's been significantly better, but you're still seeing those errors pop up, and when they pop up in big situations like they did in the 3rd game of the series, it's going to cost you games at the major league level. I don't know what the solution to that is. You could say, oh, bring up blank and blank, but it feels like no matter who the Red Sox bring up, their defensive ability continues to be poor, and it doesn't matter who's on the field. Alex Bregman, Gold Glover. Trevor Story, Gold Glover, right? Those guys are making mistakes on an almost series basis at this point, and that needs to change. These guys need to lock in and figure it out right now. But overall, it's hard to truly be upset with what we saw in this series from the Red Sox. Again, it was night and day compared to the first series. And a lot of people bring up, oh, the Red Sox gave the White Sox 3 wins in their season series. It's 60% of the White Sox wins this season. That's statistically correct, but if you look at it series to series level, this one was so much better. You got better starting pitching, you got better offense, you had better ability to close out games. It looked like an entirely different team, and for the second series in a row, you saw this team beat you in multiple areas, right? It wasn't just the offense. It wasn't just the pitching. It was a combination of a really good baseball team, and I think we're starting to get a glimpse, hopefully, of what this team could truly look like on sort of the grander scale here, what it could look like over the course of a season. My hope is that this is the Red Sox starting to heat up a bit, that they're figuring themselves out as a team. They're figuring out what works and what doesn't work and highlighting what works to get themselves to win these baseball games. This was sort of the, easier part of the Red Sox schedule. Now it's going to get a bit more difficult. Now you're going to face some more competitive teams. This is really the test, right? The Red Sox are heating up right now. Can they actually get hot and finish out this month really strongly? Because if they do, despite all the struggles we've seen this month, there's a legitimate chance here that the Red Sox come out of this month leading this division, putting themselves in a really good spot to continue on throughout the 2025 season. So that's the hope, right? You've got, 8 days left of April. How do you finish out this month, and can you get yourself to a point where you're looking good and setting yourself up for a successful 2025? And we'll see. We'll see, but I really liked what we saw in this White Sox series, so let me know what your thoughts are. What did you think of this series? What stood out to you poorly? What stood out to you positively? And how do you think it impacts 2025? Let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you enjoy this type of content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, the best way to do it is to head over your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.